Hey folks, good guy Glenn here, and today is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Real doozy today, man. I got up at 0400, got ready for work, ran out to the truck pre-trip, warmed the truck up, drove out to the job site, then checked the dispatch and realized that this job doesn't start till 0730. I got here at 06. Not unusual for me to get places wicked early. This time wasn't necessary. I've been to this job site several times. I know how it works. I know how to get in and get out. I didn't need to go get the lay of the land. I could have slept in today. But hey, this is the way it is, right? It's the way it goes. Been trying to keep busy, trying to keep the old brain housing group from going a little wonky. Wanted to just touch base, make a video, talk about some stuff going on. Work is slow. I mean, I'm busy. I'm trying to stay busy as much as possible doing per diem work, but in general, there isn't a lot going on with a lot of contractors, and I think a lot of that has to do with this terrible economy that we're involved in right now. I guess a lot of people thought, like, you know, Trump would get elected and everything would turn around 1, 2, 3, but there's a lot to it, man. When a lot of damage has been done over the last 25 years. You know, this is not new. This is not like something that just happened. This is not something that happened just in the Biden administration, Trump's last administration, the Obama administration. This goes back a long time, where we have sold our souls to China and overseas for cheap goods. So this life you live now of cheap goods, going to Walmart, buying everything you want, picking up a new TV when you need a new TV, all of that, that's not the way it was when I was growing up. I'll tell you that much. In the 70s, even in the early 80s, now, in the later 80s, that's when all this nonsense started. This fake middle-class nonsense. If you wanted a TV, buying a television, when I was a kid, we needed a new TV, right? When I was a kid, we had a little black and white television. And then that television, I don't remember exactly what happened. I was a kid. It either went bad or my father wanted a color television, so we bought an RCA television. Back then, RCA was like the television to have. And it was a big television, because back then they had the tubes, you know, the big television tubes. It was a big television. It sat on a TV table that, looking back, shouldn't have been holding that television. But it's just the way it was back then, you know? But it was a big purchase. I remember going and buying it. I remember we got it from somewhere in the old Bergen Mall. That's now called Bergen Town Center. And it's not really a mall anymore. It's like a strip mall. But it used to be an actual proper mall. And that's where we bought the television, man. I remember vividly. We had that television for years. I got a pair of sneakers every year for school. And we went to Kmart to get my sneakers. I was a Kmart kid. All my stuff came from Kmart. And where I grew up in Bergen County, I unfortunately had the privilege of growing up in a more affluent town in Bergen County after we moved there from Jersey City. So I got made fun of by a lot of kids who came from, like, money, means. So me and my Kmart shoes would get made fun of. But what's really cool is, and I'm not saying I'm a trendsetter, it's just the way things were in my life. I would get Dickies pants, Dickies jeans. Like, that's what they had at Kmart back in the day. Back when you aged out of Dynamite Kids, got into the young adults section. And then fast forward to that was just an easy transition into punk, skate, you know, Dickies. I think a lot of what influenced those looks is kids that came from similar upbringings from me. So it was just part of the real evolution. It wasn't wearing the costume of being a skater punk kid. It was that look originated from, that's what you had when your parents were broke and they bought your clothes at Kmart. You know, you're gonna wear Dickies. You're gonna wear those boat shoes that became Vans. You know what I mean? Vans was the brand name that everyone wanted, you know, for skating and whatnot, but Kmart sold those. I still wear them to this day. I don't know where I was going with this. I just totally had a brain fart. It's early, man. It's early in the morning. I guess what I'm trying to say is, now that I've kind of thought about it, you used to buy things because you needed them, and then we became a consumer society and we just buy. buy things. Supermarkets when I was a kid were not the huge places they are now. The supermarket that we went to is a Walgreens now. You walk in there, you could never imagine that was your supermarket, but it was back then. It had everything you needed. Your meat, your deli, your dairy, and some stuff on the shelf. And that's the way supermarkets were. And this is before. And now I remember the supermarket that I wound up working at was considered the big supermarket. The one in Emerson, New Jersey, the ShopRite. Bro, you go there now, and that's a tiny ShopRite compared to what they're building. And that was the big store when I was growing up, because that was the new one, you know? Because everything else was a basement operation. It's so weird that I'm at that level now, where it's like, let me tell you, young whippersnappers, about when I was a kid. But that's where I'm at, dude. I'm in my 50s now. I can't believe it. Well, what do you think brought upon this consumer society? Well, that would be cheap goods. Cheap goods that are all produced overseas. Hong Kong used to produce a lot of stuff. Japan produced a lot of stuff until everybody just shipped everything to China. And now China's even too expensive. Now a lot of stuff is made in India. If you wear Carhartt, a lot of your clothes are made in Honduras. Although now Carhartt is trying to sell stuff saying it's made in the USA. I don't know. I think they did bring some of their production back to the USA. We'll see. But I pay extra and I buy thorough goods, boots, supposedly made in the USA. I try to buy made in the USA as much as possible. I bought Chippewas for years until they moved their production to Mexico. Does it matter to me? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it matters to me. It matters to me that an American has a job. It matters to me that all these areas that I do work in used to be industrial hubs where they built stuff. They built stuff in this country. And now they tear down those warehouses and those factories to build luxury condominiums for people who sit behind a desk all day. And all the things we use every day are built somewhere else. And the people who used to build them and used to fill these towns and used to have good jobs and raise families, they have no job because you need your cheap Walmart stuff. Would I pay extra and have less to make sure that people had gainful employment? Sure. The problem is the people who run these companies don't want that. You ever wonder why you can't buy a pickup truck today and have it for 20 years? Because the thing will be functionally obsolescent in 5 years. It's built to fall apart, so you have to constantly buy a new one. It's built to have a computer running everything, so when it just craps out, you just have to get a new one. And that you can't fix it with your buddies in the garage on the weekend. This is all by design, folks. And that's that. So you have no job. You have nothing you really own. This GoPro I'm recording this on, I have to pay a subscription fee to keep the lights on this thing. And if I stop paying the subscription, it won't do the updates and I won't be able to use it any longer. But that's okay. I'm going over to a Power Shot because they're still not doing subscription. And now even like when I started doing YouTube years ago, back when I was doing real estate, you had to have fancy cameras. Now your phone, my Samsung Galaxy has a better camera than this camera. You know, it's just a pain in the ass holding the phone, and I'm not buying a phone gimbal. That's just not me. I'm working on getting a new vehicle, so I had to get a quote for car insurance, and I just can't believe how expensive car insurance has got. That's another thing. My daughter is 19 years old and doesn't have a driver's license. And why she doesn't have a driver's license is I can't afford to insure her on my insurance. The quote for insuring her as a new driver would be almost as much as my rent. Maybe not that much, but it's expensive. Because I remember when my stepdaughter went on my insurance went up astronomically. I mean, for what? You pay all this money to them monthly. You pray that they're going to do right by you when you need them. And they'll do everything they can not to do right by you when you get into an accident, to find a way not to pay for something. It's the way it is. I can afford to get my daughter a driver's license. I just can't afford the monthly fee for the privilege for her to drive. And I think that's why a lot of kids of her generation aren't driving. You can't go out and buy a $500 junker anymore as your first car. Those days are over. Cars are undependable. The cost to repair a vehicle is astronomical. What are we doing, folks? I know a lot of you who are watching this are feeling this. Maybe some of you, Muffy, you're at the country club I doubt you're watching my stupid video. And you know, some of us, we do good. I have great months. I have great runs where there's a lot of work and I have money in the bank, but I have to watch what I spend my money on, man, because it gets slow like it is right now. And you better have some reserves. You better have something saved up for when it gets slow. That's all I can say, you know? But they build, and everything they build is luxury this, luxury that, luxury townhomes, luxury condominiums, luxury apartments. What about, like, you're just getting out of college, here's a cool place to stay that's safe, that has everything you need. Now, right? Now, it's gotta be luxury. Luxury, 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 luxury. Most bang for your buck. And you wanna know why? Back in the day, builders were established guys who'd been in the business for a long time. They started out doing home renovations and repairs, and then they built a house or two, and then maybe they started buying properties and building houses. And now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks he's a developer. No building experience. All the builders used to be carpenters, contractors. They all used to be guys like that. Not anymore. Now these guys, they're all college-educated nitwits who don't even know how to swing a hammer, you know? They don't know how to use, you know, a skill saw at all. And they're the ones building, you know, they're buying cheap properties, knocking down affordable housing, and building this nonsense everywhere. But now stuff has a higher days on market. They can't understand. Nobody can afford to live there. That's what the problem is. Times are tight, man, and they're getting tighter, and it's not going to get any easier. And Trump's tariffs are going to make it harder. But you have to understand something. It has to be done. I'm not bashing Trump. I'm not going to rah-rah Trump, and I'm not going to say things that aren't true about Trump. What Trump is doing with the tariffs have to be done. We have to control the flow of cheap items built everywhere else into this country. We have to bring back manufacturing to this country, industry to this country. We have to bring back the factories, the jobs. And you're only going to do that if you put the hurt on buying the cheap junk from everywhere else. So for the time being, for the next decade, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt until someone realizes it's cheaper to do it here. But that goes back to the unions. I was a proud union guy for years. There's no give or take with the unions. It's all good to be looking out for the best interest of the worker, but when you start demanding more and more and more and more and more, and then it just becomes not the best interest for the worker, because then the bosses start looking for cheaper ways to do it. And then they start hiring people from other countries that don't have papers, that they could pay half the price to get it done. There has to be give and take. There has to be within reason. It's not all or nothing. We have to stop as a society thinking about that. It's my way or no way. That's not the way the world works. And that's why we find ourselves so politically divided as well. It's either my way or no way. And it seems like the left wants it their way. What are you going to do? What's happening economically is what brings us together, because it transcends party lines. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. Right now, things are hard. Groceries are expensive, and it's hard to keep the lights on. So remember that next time you want to post something nasty about someone who has a different political opinion than yours. And stop thinking because people who are going to run for office on the cheap fix of getting rid of tariffs to continue putting you out of work. Oh, we'll get rid of tariffs. Let China just flood us with cheap goods that they made over there. Have no incentive to try to bring jobs back here. Think about that, folks. It's all I'm trying to say. It's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. It's a working person's thing. We need jobs. So you could buy American. It's going to cost you a little bit more to buy a pair of Origin work pants, but they're made in America. I've driven by to the place where they build them. When I used to pick up Poland spring loads up in Maine, drove right by it. You could do it, folks. We're gonna be okay. Just get up every day, put your boots on, go to work. There's certain things that are out of your control, but you can control what you spend your money on. Don't buy nonsense. Don't become a consumer for them. And they're gonna tell you, the consumer index. They're gonna try to scare you with the, you gotta spend. Spend for what? I'll spend if I know that a family in Ohio is gonna eat tonight because their dad or their mom worked in a factory that built the item that I need. But I'm not gonna spend so some dude can buy another boat and all his employees are overseas and they get paid pittance. And that's that. That's just my 2 cents. A lot of you didn't like the last video I made. That's okay. Some of you unsubscribed. You're not watching now, so I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Get it straight, folks. My politics aren't what you think they are. I'm not right. I'm not left. I'm just a guy trying to figure it out like you. I'm just a guy who gets in his truck every day and drives 11, 12 hours a day to try to make a check, to try to pay my rent, to try to buy some food at the ShopRite, to try to pay my astronomical electric bill. My electric bill's not that bad, but I sit in the dark with no lights on. I think a lot of us, that's where we fall. And we have ideas on our politics and what we believe, but stop pushing your agenda on me. And that's from both sides. Stop pushing your agenda on me. I'm a man of God. I believe in what I believe in. I believe that Jesus Christ, I believe that he is my savior, and I don't try to put that on anybody, man. I'll mention what he's done for me, but I don't tell you that that's what you have to do, because sooner or later you'll figure something out on your own. So if you're trying to like bully someone, whether you want to make fun of them for their faith, oh yeah, the imaginary spaghetti monster in the sky, okay, we get it. You're an immoral savage and you just want to do whatever you want with no thinking that there's no consequences. That's on you, man. But stop trying to push it on me. Just like I'm not going to push what I do on you. And I'm not going to push my religion on you. And I've said it, that's why I'm against a lot of organized religion, man. I don't believe in the church. I believe in God. Remember that. I don't have to give some pastor all my money so he can drive a Maserati and I drive some clapped out pickup truck because God wants him to have a 10-bedroom house. Don't believe in any of that. Get off your high horse if you're a Christian. Get off your high horse if you're an atheist. Get off your high horse, period. We're all just people trying to make it in this life, and the way I make it is through my faith. Either you respect that or you don't respect that. And when a man of God, a man of faith, a man who kind of lines up with how I feel, gets gunned down for just trying to point out these things, well, that's an assassination, and I'm gonna comment on it. You don't have to agree with me, but you can't make up stories and say that I'm a this and I'm a that and I'm this kind of phobic and this kind of ist. It's not the case. I love you as a human being because we're all brothers and sisters on this planet. And some of you, I question what you do with your lives, but that's not for me to make that decision. With that being said, I'm glad if you're still here, you're still watching this, and maybe, this makes some sense to you. That's cool. So remember what I always tell you. Say your prayers. He's listening. He's not always going to give you what you want. It doesn't work like that. He's going to give you what you need. He's not a genie giving you 3 wishes, okay? Have faith. Eat a Greek yogurt and a banana every single day. Try to stay away from processed foods. Take your vitamins. Do your pre-trip. It could save your life. And if you like this video, smash that like button. Subscribe and hit the bell so when I drop another video, you get a notification. Share this video with a friend. And if you want, go check out my Instagram, Good Guy Glenn. I'll put a little link. It won't be a link. It'll just show you what you're looking for when you're on Instagram. If you want to come by, see what I'm doing, go ahead. And once again, this is Good Guy Glenn. Thanks for watching.